that them two got going on. So I, he's an old school petster. And
Old school.
it needs to stop. It needs to come to an end.
But he's an
When
only
you
child too. So
that also explains quite a bit too. That also explains quite a bit. Okay, we're gonna pin that. We're gonna pin that. We're gonna get back to the petty man movement. Hey everybody, welcome to another round. I'm your host Jay. I'm here with my girl El Cid, and we are back to do Love and Marriage Detroit, season 2, episode 6. And okay, I'm dedicating this episode to the aunties because the aunties saved this show. Okay, baby, the aunties brought us back in, reeled us back in for a second before all chaos breaks back loose. Okay, because you know it's coming back up. But for now, the aunties gathered us like aunties only can, and I'm here for it because I believe both of these aunties was great in this episode. How are you today, Elsie?
I'm doing great. I'm wearing red for Auntie Cheryl. So I really liked Auntie Cheryl, and kind of partial to the name within the family. So we yeah, Auntie Cheryl is my auntie for this episode.
I don't have an auntie Cheryl, but I have an auntie Sharon. But you know what? I'm an auntie's girl too. I love my aunties. I love a good auntie. A good auntie always gives sound advice. A real good auntie always give you sound advice at the time that you really, really do need it. And I think these two did a very good job. And we're going to get into that in just a few. But as we continue the episode, we are still here in the pettiness of this fight in this cafeteria place. I don't want to call this people establishment a cafeteria because I don't know what the establishment was. It looked like a very nice place, but they was trashing the place by throwing all this KBS couture all over the floor. Okay. I was like, ladies, sisters, can we get this together? Okay. Just hand her the bag of clothes. I was like, what is happening?
I like that. Couture on the floor.
That should be a name of a runway. If anybody put that as a runway, one of your fashion shows, please credit me, okay? You know, you could cash out me a little something if you like, but please credit me. I might have to make my own fashion show. Hell, couture on the floor. I like that. I actually do. But yeah. Yes, we have no new episode this week. So we're talking about last week's episode, y'all. Anywho, what did you think about these two ladies' conversations and the back and forth of it all?
I do agree that it was too much. I was not in favor of Miss Dobine. This is one of the few times I am not in favor of her and how she behaves. I understand you want to have antics. I understand you want to make a statement, but taking a gift from someone or something they created and gave to you and kind of throwing it on the floor isn't the kind of antics you want to be known for. No bueno. And especially since she and her partner are all about empowering businesses, empowering women, that was not a good look. That just put it back all the way back. Because remember, Christina was a stylist. So this would have been the style she would have, the couture she would have done for her. So it was not a good look at all. And Christina was right. This is unbecoming. This is unbecoming of you. So I was on Team Christina with this one.
Unbecoming and uncouth. You have no class, madam. You have no class. Okay. Yeah, I said it last time we were together that I don't think it's a good look, especially for a person who is also an influencer, also a businesswoman of empowering other women and all of these things. And when you do this type of thing, you're kind of tarnishing somebody else's brand, which also, when people are looking at it, they can look at it as, well, one day you don't agree with me on something and you will do the same to my brand. So I don't want to do business with you. So for me, for the show, with all Kim has going on, I would have been like, nah, that wasn't a good look, sis. You should have probably not did that. I mean, you can handle, if you want to give her the stuff back, that's fine. But the way that you went about and doing it, I think it was very tacky, especially just throwing it all on the floor and with the back and forth of the arguing. It's just like, you know what, you gifted me these things. We're in a space that I don't really want these gifts anymore. Either I'm going to regift them or you can have them back. You know, it'd have been a little bit better or whatever. The fact that you kept them, supposedly kept them, I don't even know if that was really Christina's stuff, but you supposedly kept them all this time. Child, this is years ago. This is y'all beef like 4 or 5 years ago. Just put the pack them things up in a box and send them off to some people that need it. Donate it, please. That's all you have to do. You don't even have to make a big deal of it. None of it. You don't have to bring nothing back for the props and the extras of it all to make this point, because the point was not made. Y'all came to this meeting to find a resolve. And at the end of it, I was here with Kim, which said, can we just be in a space that we're cordial? Because we're going to be around. We have mutual friends. We're going to be around each other. We should just be able to be in that space. And she's right. Christina don't be acknowledging. I don't know what little land Christina be in when she be listening to people. Christina be talking about what I'm going to cook for dinner. Oh, did I leave the stove on? It's the, like, she be everywhere else when you talking to her. Because Christina didn't hear crap she said. And I could tell by the what Christina was saying. I was like, Christina, did you hear what the lady just said? And you just be like, yep, yeah, no, And they just kept repeating themselves. And I was just like, okay, let's just end this conversation, because neither one of y'all listening. You're not here for the purpose of the conversation was to actually hear the other person out. And both of y'all just listening to respond. Y'all have preloaded with whatever y'all want to say, and that's all you gonna do is fire off as soon as you hear go. So let's end this conversation and move on or whatever. Because if we can't agree to disagree, then I don't know what we doing here.
And Christina, is fairly reasonable in this, moment, in that, how are we going to reconcile and you bring this energy? How did you come to reconcile and we talk about stuff and you throwing my stuff on the floor? This is how tables get shaken. This is how drinks get tossed. And what I do like about, Love and Marriage Detroit is they have not sunk to that low. And I'm hoping that Kim is not trying to bring that low vibration to the show. She's been great so far with most things, except for the da-da-da-da-da at the table in front of everybody. But this antic, I'm hoping that Kim doesn't escalate any further.
And it's still over the fact that you're not proud that you got an Android heifer. If you want an apple, go bite the apple. But we see what they did to Adam and Eve. So just come back. Just be happy you got an Android, child. At this point in life, everything is about to be AI, Android anyway. So, okay, you just got the jump start. Oh my God, daggone Android. We are in this place, this establishment throwing around clothes. This is crazy. I've had many iPhone arguments with people that just mad because I refuse to be in their little bubbles. It is what it is, boo-boo. It is what it is, okay? Anywho, Christina is at Star Factory. She is in the studio. She is joined with her brother / manager, Jason, and her producer at the time, John. They are preparing for a song that is supposed to be played at the Pistons game. And at this point, she is wishing that Brandon was here to help her with her music.
Brandon said he didn't marry no singer. I'm sorry. Brandon said he didn't marry no singer. So what's Brandon gonna do in the booth with you? Why are you asking for Brandon? I need Brandon. It's like, oh, for what? Brandon's not gonna be on the stage with you. He's not gonna hold your hand. I understand. He could listen to it later and tell you what you need to do. But Brandon said he didn't marry a singer. Okay? So all this, I need Brandon. Brandon is like, you could use the studio, but I don't need to be there. He does show up late, so at least we know his tardiness is habitual.
Actually, it was a different day, but we'll get into that because I thought it was late too. But then when I look back at it, I was like, oh, they walked back in. Unless she went outside. I got to check out the outfits. I got to check the outfits. I think she had something
Yeah,
different on, though. I feel like I got to look at it again. I don't remember.
I don't
But
remember either. Last week, not
yeah,
last night.
I got to look at it again. But I did like getting the backstory of how her and her brother Jason grew up, her mom being into the industry and everything, and that they've been in a musical household. But here's my dilemma with this. If music was something that you've always wanted to be doing, and this is something that you have never given up on, why is it vocally that you're actually not ready? I can see physically you're not ready for some you being on some live performances and all these things like that. But I personally know people who are in the industry that sing and they're constantly vocalizing their abilities. They're constantly like singing. Singing is like their way of communicating with everybody, to be honest with you. You know what I'm saying? So for me, it's like, why at some point was your dream stopped, and did it just start back when the show started airing? When you got back on this show, did you just decide, oh, la, 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 like, let's start practicing now? I'm just trying to figure it out because I'm not ready. You're not ready to be in the studio, ma'am. They should be trying to pull you out the studio. How much you want this? How much you should be showing your husband how much you want this is saying, I'm not giving up no matter what. I'm singing to my daughters on the regular, and guess what? In the background, I'm recording that singing. I just don't know too many people that say this is their dream and they've been knowing it. Like, I can see if this is just something, hey, I woke up today and I want to start, I want to sing because, I kind of have a little bit of ability from way back when. But if this is something that you really been wanting to do for the longest, that man would have been sick of me and put me in the booth because I'd have been singing every damn where. Every time we got together, Brendan, I want dinner. Like every freaking thing would have been a goddamn musical. He'd have been like, bitch, take your ass to the studio, please. Just go and leave me the hell alone.
She could have been laying background vocals for some of his, artists and some of his things. So I'm wondering if it really is a dream, or is she, following in her parents' footsteps kind of thing. I feel the need to, because clearly the brother is managing her and the brother is a manager in music, so if singing is a part of the music industry you wanted to be in, then, as you said, Jay, I would think that she would be in the studio recording, or at least singing with the girls. This should not be the first time we hear her singing.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So I was just a bit confused on that part because I mean that, like I said, when we watched her at the studio practicing moves and dancing and being able to sing and dance, that's a whole different thing. Because yes, you don't always just come back to that or whatever. We watched Encore with those ladies that been away from the musical thing for a while, and only 702, the girls from 702, because they had engaged in smoking and all that, and we know how that affects your vocal cords and everything. But that's what we're saying though. If I always wanted to sing, you ain't gonna discourage me. I may put it on hold. I may put it on hold for the kids and all that stuff, but guess where I'm still singing at? With my kids, with my babies, all in your ear, because my guy, this is what I always wanted to do. I am going. I don't know her influencer page. So if it's somebody out there has her page, excuse me, my throat is itching. If somebody has her page so we can see it or whatnot, I would be singing on the influencer page. Everything would be a song. My one thing would be ready is this daggone vocal cord. Okay, that would be ready for a fact. If I got to secretly go and have meetings with the vocal coach on a regular and stuff, if I have to get my girls in vocal lessons just so I can be there to sing with my girls. Your mom was something into music. I don't understand. I don't understand how you allow somebody to talk you out of something that you've been wanting for so long. You sacrifice. To me, that means that you never really wanted it. It was an idea that you may have had, and if it came to fruition because you got with a producer, great. But when it didn't happen, child, that man couldn't stop me. He'd be on the sideline mad because I am working with that other man that she had it a little while ago. I don't know. What's your thoughts, Elsie?
I just don't understand how, if she's a singer and he's a producer, you know, he saying he didn't marry a singer, didn't want her to sing, and she's probably seeing, hey, we could be a couple and really help each other's dreams. So my thing would be, to look further as to how Brandon is seeing this as, stopping her side of the dream. Meanwhile, she's probably seeing it as, oh, this is another step towards my dream. So this marriage, I don't know, it didn't seem to follow in the right direction. And then of course she has to follow her husband's leadership. And he's like, I may work in a studio, but I definitely don't want my wife singing in a studio. It just seems a bit different.
So he wouldn't have heard me singing in the studio, but it'd have been all in his ears. Good morning to you. Good morning to you. Wake your ass up, Negro. Good morning to you. It'd have been something. I'd have got on his nerves to where he put me in the studio. Like, just go. Please go away from me. Let me pay for your studio time so you can leave me the heck alone.
I would come by the studio with, some lunch for you and just having a trip into the booth.
Here's a question. Well, she doing it now. So did he change his mind? He just went back in the house, child. But I don't know. Elsie, what you think?
I'm with you. He went back in the house. I wonder who the Detroit Pistons, who knew who at the Detroit Pistons? Was it a connection for her? And then he got to capitulate and say, oh, well, they're asking for her, so I'm going to have to support it because I'm trying to get back in the house. Or did he go and find it for her to help him get back in the house? I need to know the connection with the Pistons and how this project came to be.
Well, I actually assumed that it was through the brother, the way she framed it, but it could, with editing, we don't really know. So, yeah, that is a good question. How did you get this? Whose track are you on? Because she's on somebody else's track as well. So I'm wondering if it's a female artist, because I'm saying some of the lyrics was kind of puzzling to me, like my daughters and all this stuff. So I'm like, is it a female artist? The lyrics was just throwing me off for a Pistons game, to be honest with you. I was just like, huh? I know people who has, I hate saying it like this because I feel like I'm not name dropping, but I know people who has placements. Their songs have placements in different things. And these songs is more so like cheer, pump up, like enthusiasm songs, I get the job done, this type of stuff that has been placed through different shows at different games and events and ESA sports on their games and stuff. So the wordings, the wording that she had in the song was confusing me that it was for a Pistons game or whatnot. I mean, maybe WNBA game or something, but I was just like, a Pistons game? This is the wordings.
Well, is there a Detroit Pistons player who is really an involved father, a girl dad? I don't know enough about the Pistons and their starting lineup right now.
Yeah, I don't know. But this is a new route for people on the reality TV shows. Is we get on a reality TV show and now we want a singing career. So I don't know. Let me bring Sean up and see what he has to say to it. Hey, Shawnee.
Hey, what's going on?
See what he. So y'all want to wear matching? Oh, okay. No. I know his is not as red.
I'm wearing orange.
I know his ain't as red, but the light is showing it up similar. So y'all want to be in the spectrum together. Okay. We know how it go: red, orange, yellow, green.
We on the color wheel.
Let me go grab my hat and beard.
Okay, like there is not women and male twins. Okay. Wallace has a female twin sister who shares the same birthmark as his. All right. Since we talking about Pistons. Wait, was Wallace on the Pistons? Now I done forgot. Go ahead, Sean.
What am I supposed to say now?
What do
Talking
you think about
Brandon.
Brandon and Christina and her singing career?
I mean, I don't know what to make of it, you know. Uh, I don't know if she's like, if this is like something she wants to do as a passion project, or is this like something she wants to be the focal point of her career? You know, I'm trying to make heads and tails of it. I mean, she's been talking about singing since the first season, so I just don't know how committed she really is to the process. I mean, I definitely don't think Brandon is really being as supportive as he can be. I don't think he wants her to sing. Well, it's not. I don't think. I know he doesn't want her to sing. But at the end of the day, I think he should support her if that's something she wants to pursue.
Well, right now the negotiations is on, and so she made her negotiations to be in the studio, so he can negotiate to get in the house. She said, "While you going, I'm be at the studio." So there we are. So hopefully it work out for her in the end. Anyways, one of our two faves for the episode is in the next scene. We get Anthony and his auntie Cheryl, and they discuss the grief and legacy of the family. How did y'all feel about this scene, their conversation that they had? And I know Elsie got a little extra because she watched the exclusive clips, which always gives us a little bit more than what we get in the actual episode. So, Abby, oh, sorry.
Oh, she made an appearance back there.
I like Auntie Cheryl. You know, I have an Auntie Cheryl, so the whole glasses matching the red, matching the lipstick, matching the nails. Yes, is an Auntie Cheryl. In the bonus clip, she kind of told Anthony about himself being raised as an only child, and he wants to be running around in the community, and he feels like the family is not listening to him, hassling him about his ideas. And she said, it's all about communication, and you weren't a good communicator, and you just want people to do what you tell them or just follow your lead, and you don't want to be questioned, kind of. So she blames it on him being an only child and being indulged since he was the only focus. So that's what Auntie Cheryl said in the bonus clip while they were driving to the restaurant, which is a vegan restaurant that is Black owned in the area. But I like Auntie Cheryl. She did have, I appreciate the fact she was even on camera. Yes, Anthony has lost, but she has also lost, parent, sibling. That's a lot of loss in a short space of time for any family. But she did have great advice to him. But I wish she would have given him some advice too on his behavior in some scenes. But I wonder if Auntie Cheryl does watch the show.
Yeah, I thought that was a good dialogue. It was it gave some interesting background. Some of the unfortunate death that they've had in their family, and how it's kind of all been in kind of like a short period of time. So it's a little insight into maybe why Anthony acts out sometimes the way he acts out. But I was glad to hear him, listening to his aunt, and it seems like they have a very close relationship, and she respects him and gives him some sound advice.
Dang, Elsie, I kind of wish they'd have left that in there. They should have left that up in there a little bit, So, because that sound advice is good for everybody. Not that she didn't give any good advice for anybody that's going through grief, because she definitely did give good advice for that. We all grieve differently, and it is a process, and you have to allow yourself the space to do so, and not take it out so hard, take it out on yourself so hard. But I wish they did leave all the rest of it about how him being an only child and not communicating well is one of his bigger flaws, because it will come up in a lot of things: his marriage, his friendships, his business deals. If you don't know how to communicate properly, a lot of times it's going to affect a lot of things that you have going on. So I don't know. But overall, I did love Auntie Cheryl. She sounds like a nice sounding board that he still has in his life, which is also a great thing. He needs that as well. He need to talk to Auntie Cheryl more often. They might need to go ahead and give Auntie a little contract, let her come on here a couple of times and gather everybody together, okay? Anywho, any more thoughts on them too before we move on? No, okay. So we back at Star Factory. We don't know if this is where Brandon showed up late and Christina went out to get him, or they came in together, but John was still there, but the brother wasn't. So we're back, and these two are having a conversation about him not being. No, yeah, that's right, because he wasn't there the last time. That's how the conversation was. So this is a different day. So we're getting it. All right, Bam, you good? All right, I guess not yet. Says not all the talk by being there. Oh, that's a note for myself. Okay. So yeah, these two, they spend a lot of time flirting in the booth. And then he gets into the management part of it. And of course, he's saying how, how it kind of sometimes working with your spouse or your loved one can be a little bit of an overlap of dynamics on what the roles is and how they are taken out of context. And I can kind of see in this how things are going, why Brandon, not saying that he shouldn't work with his wife, but I can see why he may not work with her. Right now she's being nice and sweet because she obviously kind of like misses him and wants him back in the house. But if he's being critical and critiquing her in certain manners, I can also see her shutting down and taking that a certain way. So I don't know how these two are gonna coexist in the booth too much, but what y'all think?
Go ahead, Sean.
Yeah, I don't think he's really supportive. So I think it's almost like he's just faking it to make it. But I hope that he comes around, because it does seem like she her confidence is increased when Brandon is around. Although it'd be great to see her get her sea legs and feel confident in herself and be able to do it with or without him. But you can definitely see the difference when the time where he wasn't there and the time when he was and was giving her feedback and helping her along. She seemed to really want his guidance and help. So hopefully he can through the faking it to make it, hopefully he can genuinely want to support her in the music, in her music endeavors.
I didn't understand why she needed him there. And I do understand what she said, but considering they're kind of in a tumultuous kind of position right now, I don't understand why he would bring that much, I guess, soothing with his presence. I do understand as far as the music, he did have an ear for it. He did show his talent that he kind of knew where she needed to go vocally. And he could have certainly given that feedback to the engineer and whatnot. But he does have an ear for it. But they got to find a balance as to how he can be the producer and listening and giving her direction, and that their home life doesn't kind of fold in and kind of get their home life murky as opposed to their musical life in the studio.
So for me, this scene was a little produced because I ain't never really seen a vocal coach or anybody else, a producer, all the way in the booth breathing in the background while the person trying to sing. Okay, because to be honest with you, sound picks up when you're in the booth. So all the little sounds that he possibly can make, if they bump into each other, all them sounds pick up. To each his own. But I guess she needed his presence real close in that moment to be there, or production was like, I'm only gonna do one camera, so y'all figure it out. I got one camera for the day for the two of y'all figure it out. I have no clue. But like Sean said, I hope he's not just for play, just to get back into the house, that he's actually taking it serious. And listen, there's other ways to support your spouse than having to be there all the time at the studio with them. You can sit there and set up studio dates. You can get other producers that you want to work with them. You can set them up vocal coaching. It's all kind of ways that he can actually support her. But his number one way of supporting her is just letting her go do it. Like you said, El said, and Sean, she needs to build her confidence on her own without him. Because y'all got 2 kids at the end of the day and he has other artists. He's not going to be able to be at every single show and performance with you. He shouldn't have to be at every single show and performance with you for you to have a good show. You should be able to do that on your own. This is your dream. So therefore, you need to figure out how to make this dream work for yourself with or without his presence. So hopefully it'll work out for her. But we find out that Brandon manages and is CEO. So I'm a little confused. She got 2 managers. KDS. Chelsea is going to possibly be at the podcast with her and Anthony. And since Anthony is unpredictable when the cameras come off, Brandon said he's going to be there too. Do y'all think this is going to be a good podcast? and through it all, Christina is still a little delulu. She's like, it's going to be fine. Everybody's going to get along. It's going to be great. Trust me. I'm like, girl. Both y'all shaking your head.
They must want ratings or something, because why would they put those 2 together for any particular reason is beyond me. It just doesn't make any sense, you know? So, hey, if we want to see fireworks, then put those 2 in the same room, especially after, you know, I don't know if this happens next or not, or if this happened before, but it seems like Anthony is unyielding on his apology to Chelsea about calling her out of her name. So, yeah, I just think at the end of the day, they should not be in the same space. The truth be told, I don't even think Christina needs to go on no podcast with Anthony. But that's just my 2 cents.
How much backup does Christina need to be on a podcast, even if it's Anthony's? I agree with Sean. She doesn't need to be there, but understand it's twofold. They're trying to promote Christina and they're trying to promote Anthony's podcast so he could stay in Detroit and keep his home happy. But yeah, why would we, build a scene like that knowing how Anthony feels? And I understand, okay, Brandon, you wish to go there. Your wife is at a podcast. It's one of your friends. If you wish to go, fine. But y'all 2 on dicey ground. So I don't think Brandon is going to bring any kind of calm to the situation. Anthony, for all of his antics, I think Anthony knows where and when to behave. And if this is his podcast, this is his bread and butter, I think Anthony is going to behave accordingly. Now, when the cameras turn off, that's when we see the other side.
Alrighty then. Well, at the end of all of this, Brandon is asked back home. Then we move on to my other favorite auntie of the episode, like we have any other aunties to talk about. But Auntie Carla, she comes to visit Kobe and Russell at their home. She shares her I wrote the wrong word down because that is not what she shared. Her fertility issues. Child, I don't know why I wrote infidelity. Her fraternity issues. Now I can't even say the word now. Fertility.
IVF issues.
Okay, her fertility issues with IVF and everything. She lost 2 sets of twins. And I think she gave Kobe some really sound advice on how to move forward with the understanding that you are now going to be a mom of 2 girls. He'll say what you thought about it.
I thought Auntie came in for the win. She explained exactly what happened in her life, that she was not able to carry her pregnancies to term, which is also a huge topic right now in the public. And she kind of told what a lot of people would have gone through. Now her husband is the youth pastor. How can I turn around from having lost potentially my own children to now be a motherly type to other people's children. That's a hard ask. And I'm glad she was honest to say, hey, it took me a long time to get here, a very long time. And I think, as she said, she had to come to that realization and that journey. It took 2 years while the husband is the youth pastor. And she said, slowly but surely, the children crawled into her heart and stayed there. They became her children. So she kind of had a long journey to this place. We also learned that Kobe had her own fertility issues early on. So it kind of like made me side-eyed, like, okay, you knew about fertility issues, to have gender, anxiety with this one. I'm just like, you've gone through your own thing, Colby. Why would you pick this topic, as a part of your story? But I really did like the auntie in the exclusive clips. Apparently the auntie is also there to help her redo the baby's room. And Russell said, auntie likes to spend. And Kobe said, auntie is a swiper. So I guess, I was like, auntie don't have the kids' expenses. So auntie can't be the spender. And Russell said,
the rich auntie come by.
Yes, the rich auntie with no kids. So Russell said her budget is under $100. And auntie said, quick, that ain't gonna work. So so they all had good fun, but I did like her story, and I'm so glad that they had this topic as the topic of conversation.
Yeah, I agree. Every time they have those discussions and talking about fertility, it just takes me back to being married. So I kind of got a little triggered, and just remember that journey and miscarriages and all of that stuff. It's not easy, and then for her to just have such a real conversation on camera, I think hopefully it resonates with a lot of people, because, with her saying like she just had to reconcile with the fact that she, wasn't meant to be a mother to her own biological kids. I think that, was very raw of her to just be so vulnerable and talk like that to Colby. And I'm glad that Colby was able to just listen to her and hear that, and it kind of calmed her down. I think she realized in that moment, like, wow, I know that I don't want to sound selfish or, kind of just off-putting talking about the gender disappointment. But this, I think, instead of her aunt like guilting her or shaming her for feeling the way she felt, I think she was able to share, and Colby hopefully now gets it a little bit better and is like, okay, maybe I just need to step back off of this, knowing my own experiences, the experiences of others, and just generally, there's so many people that want kids, but just for whatever reason aren't able to do so. Let me not be so hyper fixated on what the gender of my child is. So, I'm glad that they had that scene. I really like her on. I think I like the dynamic. I think, and it's with her mom, with her aunt and her mom being twin sisters, I think that makes that connection even more deeper. So I really like that. And I like hearing that complexity of their story too. So that was a good scene.
Ooh, this auntie has so many key points in there that was just like crazy to me. You mentioned a few of them, Sean, some other ones that stood up and I appreciate her for being so vulnerable and so raw in this moment, because she could have kept a lot of it in, but to be a woman of faith, woman of truth, be married to somebody in the church and sit here and hate God, that's a whole journey of itself. You know what I'm saying? Hey, God. And she had to go through a whole transformation, like she said, to not sit here and blame God for what happened. Just for her to even tell Kobe at the end, God makes no mistakes. Your baby has a purpose. You may not know what the purpose is right now, but your baby has a purpose on why he's supposed to be here. Just like my purpose had to be changed from not being a mother of biological kids, but being a mother to a whole bunch of kids who probably needed the second mother, third mother, whatever the case may be, that needed that. To sit here and have have a man, my husband, be put into a position where he now has to work with kids after I lost all of ours, and go through all of that turmoil there of beating myself up, saying I did some things wrong, wondering why I can't do all of this stuff. Not just her experience, but his experience too. That we're not going to negate his, because he lost kids too, and now have been put into position, and he seemed like he might have willingly went where she was hesitant. You know, it was a lot of messages that Auntie gave in this little bit of time that we got, and we know it's edited down, so I can only imagine what more she gave her. To lose two sets of twins one time is like, the doctors are, well, maybe we went a little too fast with it, let's take a second procedure. She went through the whole thing of saying, this is why I was mad at God, because I did everything right. I waited until I got married, decided to have the babies or whatnot, and then I still can't have them, while everybody else, you start comparing yourself. You start looking at everybody else. Wow, they're doing all of these things, why they get, and I'm doing everything you asked of me, God. So that was part of her journey of why she blamed God and felt some type of way, and to have to get to a space to, what, God, is not your fault. It's not my fault. Things happen, and things happen for a reason. That's a lot for a person to deal with. And like she said, it took a while for her to get here, and you can still see that she's still working through a lot of it, because she was starting to kind of get a little teary up and stuff, which was causing me to be teary up, because I have too lost babies in different stages of the trimester. I know people who have gone full term just to have a stillborn baby. All of these things is very difficult for a lot of people to get through, and some of us never really get through that process. Some of us still have dark days when the time come around of this baby should have been here or whatever and stuff, and then you look at other people who, like, it's not necessarily Kobe, because she's thankful that she's having a baby, but like not totally appreciative of that they're just having a child, period. So it's like, sis, you got to calm down. You're in a space, especially like you said, El said, you've been here already before. You know what it feels like on your very first go around. So you were blessed the second time, where your auntie wasn't fortunate. You were blessed the second time to have a second chance at it, and you got a second. Now you're on your third. Let's just be thankful that we even got these chances, where a lot of us don't even have these chances. And I really appreciate Auntie Carla coming in and just like really sharing that with her, because I think that helped her just be in a space where, you have a blessing that many people don't. Let's just work from there, And at the end of all of it, she said, God don't make no mistakes. Your baby has a purpose. Girl or boy has a purpose. Why you are now carrying this child. Let's focus on that part of it. So I thought it was great. Any more thoughts on them before I shift it? So we get to pretty much. Oh, you was gonna say something else?
Yeah. In another bonus, she did have a conversation with her mom about this, and the mom, is excited about having, another granddaughter, and just telling her how it is growing up with girls. And Kobe told her something that, this is why I was always with my dad, because I'm on my dad's side, because you never picked up and been on my side. So I was like, huh. So when Kobe first said that, girls cleave to their dad, and she was saying this, the long roundabout way, I'm like, so it wasn't really organic. It was because you didn't feel like your mother understood you, is where you went and, cling to your dad more. It just seemed very strange, the path that Kobe kind of took as to why she, was closer to her dad. Is Kobe an only child, or does she have brothers? I can't remember.
I feel like she's not an only child. I can't remember though. I think she's
Yeah.
the only girl, because clearly she didn't understand Auntie's saying when they keep saying it's nothing like having siblings. I mean sisters, which is true. I'm blessed with both. I got sisters and I got brothers. You know, some days it's good, some days it's some days it's not. You know what I'm saying? When they all up in your stuff and they wearing your stuff, you be kind of mad. When they all in your business, you kind of mad. But then you also have that person to bounce off of when it comes to understanding girl things and relationships on a girl level and all this, you know. And it's fun to have it on the other side where you got brothers where you can talk to them about, you know, I'm a girl, you a guy, so let me figure out the guy mind of that or whatnot. I have a cousin that only has brothers, and she always say, "I wish I had a sister." And you know, we make fun of her and be like, "That you really don't," but you sometimes you really do. Sometimes you really do wish you have that bond, you know. So it I don't know. You take it as it is. I think hearing that that's a weird reason to not want to have girls because my mom didn't take my side. Guess what? You're a mom. You can change the course of your child. You can change you can work on all the things that weren't right for you growing up and give it better for your child. So I don't understand that logic. Go ahead, Elsie.
Mama also said that she agrees with Russell that they should wait 6 to 8 months and try again, or at least plan to try again. So, that's why. Oh, Kobe said that, mom is such a boy mom that she never takes my side. She's on Russell's side, even with this. So that's why I was confused if she had brothers or if it's just her being on Russell's side most of the time.
I guess the mom is trying to find her balance because they don't have no brothers. The mom is it's all girls. It's for girls. So maybe she's just trying to find her balance with it somehow. You know what I'm saying? Not to be like, oh, super feminine or womanism. Because Kobe technically has other three. You have three other women you can bounce off. You have your auntie Carla and then your two other aunties. So you have more women outnumbered, and maybe she was trying to keep balance. I don't know what the mom. They have a weird dynamic and they're not being totally honest with it, so the issue is not going to be resolved because I don't think Kobe has a way of really communicating with her mom just what she actually feels deep down inside, or and maybe the mom doesn't know how to receive it some type of way. I don't know. I have to look at that exclusive. Any other thoughts before we get into the petty man movement 2.0? Petty.0. I'm sorry. I love the things that Anthony is doing for the youth and the community, but his behavior, I'm just like, I know you're human. I know we got to give you grace. Or are we supposed to give you grace? But between you, Kim, and Marcel, y'all getting on my nerves, okay? Because Marcel was getting on my nerves in this part too, a little bit. All right. And I'm like, you need to reel it in, Marcel. You and your wife, reel it in. You're barely on the show, okay? Don't make me not like you. I'm trying to like you because y'all doing good things for the community, but don't change that for me. But what did y'all feel about this men's movement that Anthony has at Lincoln King High School? As Sean, as a man of this movement here, would you be a part of Anthony's movements?
I mean, it's a good cause, so I would support him. You know, uh, he be doing too much, but it did look like a good event. It looked like a good event. It looked like he delivered he had like a cross section of people there. I was more enthused about and my memory might be a little foggy, but the young people that were there, that I believe I saw. Now, if I'm mixing memories, please somebody correct me. But I definitely think I remember seeing some young people there, and I think that would have moved me to want to participate versus Anthony and his antics. I was interested to see why he left out Bravo. I mean, I know why he left out Brandon. We know he's gonna, Brandon threw some shade, and I get it. They're not in the best place, but I understand why he left out Bravo. So
Yeah, it was weird him leaving out Bravo, but I think didn't wasn't it at the men's dinner Bravo was kind of taking Brandon's side of things a little bit, if my mind isn't too foggy. But yeah, it looked like a good event. It looked like, what I would remember as an after school program where they would bring folks in to talk to you about their careers and different paths to their careers. So I did like that Mr. Dobine was there. And, he seemed to have a good way of speaking to the kids. And he's from Detroit too, as with most of them. And he's had a tumultuous time growing up. So I think that has a great impact on the kids. So even though Bravo was not included, I still appreciated him being on time. He was there, he was present, he was available, whatever you need. Brandon is, showing up late and wondering why I wasn't invited. Yeah, that's why you weren't invited. That's why you weren't on the program. You were invited, but you weren't on the program because here you are. Even though you may want to be petty with Anthony, this is 2.0 being petty with the kids. Just show up on time and talk to him afterwards. I mean, come on.
I was confused. I'm confused because I'm like, is Brandon not invited yet? Brandon coming late, but y'all worried about Brandon being late. Why he not here or whatnot? But Bravo's not invited, but Bravo is here. And Bravo texts Brandon. I'm like, Brandon, what is your reason? Were you at the studio with Christina while you late? Did you just move back in today while you late? Like, I need to know why Brandon was late, but whatever the case may be. My reason why I say Marcel is getting on my nerves because all the little petty comments that the people that need to be here is we know who the people that need to be there is here. We don't need to say that. We don't need to do all that. You did a good job of talking to the kids and telling them, never giving up, keeping them encouraged and keep going or whatnot. So I just didn't understand all these little things, these little secret jabs at Brandon, because your wife and his wife has an issue. You guys both agreed that y'all wouldn't have an issue when y'all sat at that dinner. Y'all both sat there and said that whatever the wives got going on has nothing to do with us. We can be cordial. So just keep it cordial and not say anything. Don't have to make the little jabs. You don't have to tell Anthony, hey, I'm on your side. I am Team Anthony. He knows that already. Why you make that face, Elsie? He don't have to
I make that face because whatever the wives have, the wives had, but you allowed someone to disrespect my wife in your presence. So now we got a little bit of an issue. And I was surprised Russell didn't chime in because,
No,
my
I'm talking
wife
about your wife, but not Anthony's wife.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no, Kim and them. So that's why I'm sticking with Marcel. I know where you're going with Anthony, and that's a whole different thing. But Marcel is just like, shh, just play the backstream for right now. You know what I'm saying? We don't need to add. You're on the show. We'll get to you, baby. Don't worry. We'll get to you. You and your wife got some things. We're going to get there. We're going to get there. Don't worry. Your time will come. Now, the other part I didn't get, which we're going to talk about right now, is when Brandon finally does show up and he gets in there and he's telling Anthony that you need to apologize. First, I'm going to say, you don't need to tell this man that he need to apologize. You can come and tell him, hey, my wife planned on bringing Chelsea to the podcast. Can we just make sure that it's going to be cordial or some stuff like that? Can we just keep it cool? We know y'all don't get along or whatever, but is it going to be cool? Is everything going to be cool? Because otherwise we might have to call this whole podcast off until we figure it out. That'd have been probably a way I would approach it. But coming in to tell a man what he need to do is never a good approach to anything, especially when you already been beefing with this man. And you late to his stuff. Like, what? You disrespecting his stuff by coming late, and then you're going to start off like, hey, I know I'm late, but I feel like you owe Chelsea an apology. So what you going to do about it? You know this man is petty. Y'all know this man is petty. What y'all expect him to do? Not reach into his petty bag at this moment and say, yes, I'll apologize to her. What y'all think? Do y'all think there was a better way he could approach this?
And Anthony can't really be that petty because he on the school grounds. The kids are around. So he really can't be real scrap petty. He got to be cordial petty, which can cut a little deep. if Anthony was from the genteel South, I would say, oh yeah, it's coming, and you know the kids won't even know what happened. But I don't think I don't think Brandon should have come with that energy. I agree with you. He should have come, hey, we're doing this. And even so, how much backup does Christina need on this podcast? You as her husband should be enough. You know, Chelsea being there, she doesn't have to be there. She really doesn't. So you should have come to him, you know, Anthony, hey, it'll be a good look to smooth things over if, you know, you and, you know, Chelsea got good. But to come in and say you're going to have, you know, she demands an apology, you're going to have to apologize to her. It's like, this is why Anthony would say, well, y'all can't come to my podcast. You could just stay gone. He already upset with you for showing up late. Don't make demands now. You're going, you know, what you going to do, show up late at the podcast too? It wasn't a good look at all. It wasn't. And if that was so serious, you should have brought it up when y'all had the men's dinner, you know. But yeah, I was right with Anthony and piping up about, hey, don't talk to me about who owes who an apology when you had some dust up at the ring shopping.
Yeah, I think at least Brandon is consistent, right? He is consistent with not knowing how to deliver a message, you know, and not know how to properly handle any type of conflict. Because showing up late and then trying to ask somebody who you know is not a reasonable, you know, to do something is unfortunate, you know. So yeah, he picked the wrong, and the timing was wrong. The venue was wrong. I think when somebody is hosting an event and having something big going on, anytime you bring up something that is uncomfortable or, you know, is not favorable towards them, it's just going to always not come off well, because it's like, now you're going to overshadow my event. You're talking to me in front of all these people. You know, I just finished having, you know, what I feel to be something very positive. And now you want to come in here at the ninth hour and tell me to do something that you know I don't want to do. Yeah, you know, and as somebody who is habitually late, I know how to come in late and blend in. So, you know, when you come in late, you got to blend in. You don't come in late and start stressing people out, you know, because that's how you get kicked out. That's how you get put out. You know, you're going to come in late and then you want to get on the host's nerves. Yeah, you're going to get put out. So, Brandon, wrong time. You know, I do think though, you know, after all of that, Anthony he does owe Chelsea an apology. I think his comments towards her were very disrespectful. I think that, you know, it's one thing to be cheeky, it's one thing to have a disagreement with a woman, but to call her a bird, and, you know, I just think that was wrong of him. And he's entitled to his feelings, but to vocalize that and to disrespect her like that, I don't think that was cool. And I think if she was there with a, you know, with a spouse or with a partner that's a man, I don't think he would have disrespected her like that. So I do think Anthony very much owes her an apology for talking to her the way he talked to her that night. But I just don't feel like it's going to come, unfortunately.
And as we see, he doubled down in this moment and called her a bird some more. As Bravo tried to take his back and said, well, he can call it other things. I said, you too. Shh, 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 shh. Okay, so DL has a great question. How in the world is Anthony going to lead young men with his atrocious ways towards women? Okay, because you seem to. So we know we like to have some of these traditional ways where the man is still the lead of the household and he still leads in the community or whatnot. But like DL said, you're supposed to be leading young men, but you're okay and comfortable with calling a woman out of her name and saying, no, I will not apologize to her for any reason under any circumstance in the world. When, to be honest with you, you caused it in the first place because she was speaking to her friend and you called her a bird and told her to shut up. She was not talking to you at all. So therefore, you shouldn't have been like saying anything in the first. Like, I don't understand. I just don't understand. But what y'all think on this question?
So when he called her out of her name, so they kind of switched roles. She became the Colby of that situation where Anthony was talking to Christina and she chimed in. So, okay, I'm looking at it a little different as well. Pieces of puzzle. Anthony, grow up and apologize to the young lady. That's it. Just apologize to the young lady. You would not like anyone to call your daughter, your wife, any of the women, or anyone around you out of their name. So you may hold your opinion of her as lower than or whatever your opinion is, but to call her a bird, yeah, that's not a good look. That's not a good look. You're trying to lead the community. You cannot lead the community in that way. I'm sorry. So just, you know, tighten up that waist and go and apologize to the young lady and just let it be. Don't let this be your narrative arguing with women. Not a good look.
And you know me on my new kick, I'm going to say what I think. And I think his behavior and a lot of his, the way he acts out towards women is rooted in misogyny. Sorry. You know, because at the end of the day, you want to call this woman a bird. You don't know her, because she has an opinion, because she is outspoken. You're looking to demean her. And again, I also think that had she been with a man, you know, at the end of the day, I don't think he would have acted out and been so vocal about calling her outside of her name. He might have, depending on who the man was, gotten into a back and forth. I don't think he would have called her a bird because if she was standing beside a man, you know, and I think that that is problematic. And he got to do better, and he has to realize, you know, if you want another man talking to your daughter like that, and Bravo, no bravos for Bravo in this moment, talking about he could have called her worse. So what else could he have called her, Bravo? And when when would it be appropriate and okay for a man to talk to her like that? And I'm not saying like she wasn't calling, if she was calling Anthony out of his name, calling him a sucker or punk or whatever, and he called her a bird, I might not like it, but then I could understand, you know, hey, listen, we're trading insults back and forth. He hasn't quite hit below the belt yet because she called him a name, so he was responding with a name he could call her, right? So, hey, maybe we could deal with that. But to just go after her like that when she wasn't even talking to him, let alone not calling him names, I didn't like that, you know? And that name to me just, you know, he's trying to pick on her because she's single, you know, pick on her because she's probably the more outspoken friend, so that's why she's a bird. You don't know her. And even if you did, it's not okay. You know, we got to do better. And he wants to be a leader, like DL said, right? He wants to teach young men. You should be teaching young men how to respect women. He should be teaching young men how to conduct themselves properly, how to effectively resolve conflict. If you have an issue with someone, before you go off, think about your words. Choose your words wisely. So yeah, Anthony's got a lot of work to do.
It was funny to me how it was like, it starts off as, can you apologize to Chelsea? And what I gonna do that for? She gonna say that she got double team, and then she mad at me and my wife, and then it's always all these add-on things that it comes into it, and it always starts in the middle. It never starts at the beginning. As it had he, and like you said, El said, had he said, you know what, when she interrupted me, I felt some type of way about that, and I impulsively spoke. You know, I can apologize to that. I can apologize. I shouldn't have called her a bird. I just don't like being interrupted. That'd have been a lot more easier than going down this line of a list of people that she don't like or whatever. She has reasons why she don't like you. You called her a bird. That started off. She did not like you and your wife before then. That, as far as we know, she did not like y'all before then, or whatever. Then when your wife said whatever she said on the reunion, that made your wife come into question with her. And then they had their conversation where Chelsea actually said, you know what, I'm really mad at your husband. Chelsea actually said that, I'm really mad at your husband for saying what he said to me. You added on to it because you said this later on. So that made me feel some type of way when you started saying all of this stuff, but it was your husband I had the problem with. So stop trying to throw your wife under the bus every 5 seconds. It's been like the last 3 episodes. He gonna throw his wife in the mix when she had nothing to do with it. This is you. This is you, sir, as a man, a leader of the community who is going at a woman because, like you said, like Sean said, she doesn't have a man by her side. That's not how you lead and protect the women of the children of the community. Just because she doesn't have a man at her side does not give you cause to call her out her name. I don't know where they do that at. I mean, I don't know. I guess that's a Detroit thing. Somebody from Detroit educate us and let us know if this is how the men conduct themselves up there in this y'all city, and that's just what it is. I don't know. But I don't feel like any man, just because you don't have a man by your side, should be sitting here disrespecting you because he's feeling some type of way about being interrupted. I don't know. That's just me. Then can y'all two tell me where in Sam's Hill, maybe it was edited out, where was Bravo taking Brandon's side? Because I didn't hear where he took Brandon's side. I was like, he was more on your side trying to give the cop out of you saying Bird, and you could have been saying other things, and then he was explaining where the back and forth was going. I didn't hear where he was taking Brandon's side. I'm confused.
I think he was taking Brandon's side that he should apologize. He did, Bravo was straddling the fence. It was like, hey, Brandon, he could have called her worse. Hey, Anthony, you should apologize for calling her out her name. So that's where I think Bravo, caught astray.
Mm-hmm. And, he's talking about a man's movement. Why are we talking about taking sides? Like, at the end of the day, as men, I have a right to have an opinion, and it doesn't mean that just because my opinion isn't the same as yours, I'm taking a side. How about I'm telling you what I think is the right thing to do? It's like, and that's why I think Anthony can just be petty and immature. It's like, at the end of the day, it's not about a side. You called somebody outside of their name, and now your friends who you would hope would tell you the truth and not just jump to your defense even when you're wrong, are saying like, hey, and Bravo was twerking on the fence, as Seaway and Kim Pyre say. He was twerking on the fence anyway, because he really wasn't doing a whole lot of helping, if you ask me, because he should have just stated it plainly, like, you should not have called her outside of her name, and you do owe her apology, like, hey, if you do something wrong, we're gonna call you out. If you do something right, we're gonna recognize it.
What I didn't understand in that either is Russell still trying to take defense of his wife instead of saying, Anthony, you called her out of her name. Can we start there? We can go down the list of things, but we need to start at the fact that you called her out her name. That's what snowballed to my wife now being called out of her name because you did something. I don't know how we just like all start in the middle of the whole thing and not get to the root of it when we were all sitting at the root when it happened. You were there, Russell, when it happened. So you can easily go to Anthony and be like, hey, you know what? My pregnant wife got a result of you saying what you said and not apologizing. So, sir, could you just go apologize before my wife becomes into more harm due to your actions? I don't know. That's how I would want my man to show up for me. That's just me. But I'm just like, you sitting here trying to be like, oh, well, Kobe jumped in because Kobe didn't have to jump in. Kobe could have sat at the table like she was quiet the next time, trying to figure out why she didn't get an apology. You just sit there and be quiet. You could be on mute. Go find something to put in your stomach real quick because I know the baby hungry. You know what I'm saying? That will stop you from having to talk. If you feed yourself and the baby, you don't have to say anything. You get to check yourself out like, you know what? I am hungry. Before you hoes piss me off, let me go eat. Y'all can carry on with this back and forth. I'm here for the ring. So when y'all figure out what ring it is y'all choosing, call me. I'm going to be in the back getting me something to eat real quick. Russell, he going to be a soft-spoken pastor. I see this now. He going to be real. I don't know if that's his calling. I don't know if that. I don't know. His mediation skills, his diffusement skills is kind of on the low right now. I don't know. I think he's doing it because the people in his family has done it, but I don't think this is his actual I don't think that's his actual place. Because I think you have to, as a leader of a church and a community, I think you still have to be able to stand up and have a voice and know how to execute your voice without yelling in anything. I'm not saying he needs to yell, but just Bravo chimed in right that, and his voice diminished. And all focus is on what Bravo is saying. We didn't care about what he was saying anymore. So I don't know. What y'all think about Russell?
I mean, I'll get back. The main thing I think before Russell is who really needs to get Anthony to apologize is his wife, because she signed off and sat there and not let him, but didn't say anything about him disrespecting Chelsea. I think she should have, if not in the moment, when they got home, told him, you made the wrong move there. I don't think you should have done that. That wasn't a good look. Next step, I think also that Chelsea even apologized to LaToya and Colby, eventually about calling her a stooge, So like at the end of the day, Anthony should be the bigger person. Now to Russell, I think that sometimes people show up a little bit differently in their pastoral role than they do in their personal life. Obviously, there is overlap. But I think that he still has hope. He still has some growth to do. I liked his approach. So I'm basing it off of that. Like, he still may be able to do it, because when he was sitting giving that, impromptu counseling session or informal counseling session that he did with Brandon and Christina, I think he did a good job of navigating and, trying to encourage and talk to them as a couple. So I think there's some hope there. He's got growing to do. He's got to listen, because he ain't listening to Colby, but he has to learn to listen and balance that out. But I think there's still hope for the brother.
I guess we realize why he not listening to Colby, because her parents got his back. But I agree with Sean, and I think where I gave Russell a pass with it, I don't know if he's talked to Anthony or not, but Russell did have a point. My wife was disrespected in your presence. So, y'all Bravo's fighting on the other front, and I'm going to be like, hey, this happened in your presence. So even though we're not going to get involved in the women's scuffles, I still think that if our wives are in your care, this should not have happened, especially since this was also one of your guests. So when you saw it getting hot, your thing was to diffuse it and not let it get to a certain level. So that's where I would give Russell's like, everybody beating up on Anthony. Anthony's already being told he needs to apologize. I need to also make Brandon aware of, what he could have done better in the situation.
Well, then Brandon gets the same grace. Because when Chelsea was being jumped on, everybody sat silent and said nothing. Russell didn't say nothing. Brandon didn't say anything or whatnot. So just again, back to the same thing, just because she don't have a man there to defend her, all the men is going to sit silent. Russell sat and watched Brandon be quiet, basically, with Chelsea. So what you expect him to do? You sat quiet too when Anthony came at Chelsea. So it's like, why are you expecting a man to do more than what you're doing?
Brandon was also quiet because he and Christina was having a kerfuffle too. So
yeah, but
Brandon wasn't even.
Russell stayed quiet too. Russell could have sat there and said, Anthony, that's rude. Don't call a woman out her thing.
And they were more on Brandon, don't be talking to your wife like that. So yes, I understand they should have, but it's like people pay attention to what calls to their consciousness, I guess, quicker. They were more, Brandon, this is your wife. Don't speak to her like that. Not capturing Anthony, don't speak to Chelsea like that. So it could be, y'all could be right. It's because she doesn't have a husband or a gentleman, standing at her side, why they kind of like let her kind of float on her own.
My point to that is because I know if I go out with Sean, single or not single, I'm out with Sean. Sean is not going to let somebody just talk to me disrespectfully. I'm not saying he going to fight for me or anything like that, but he has a way that he will check that person and not let them disrespect me. These men sat there and let Anthony disrespect that lady regardless of if Brandon talking to his wife a certain type of way or whatever and stuff like that. Oh, but now that it's your wife, now you want him to check somebody. You know, that's what I'm saying. It's like, Russell, you didn't say nothing to Brandon. Like, hey, why you didn't check Anthony in that moment when he said something to your wife and to her? You didn't talk to Anthony. Hey, why are you talking to women this way? Because at the back of my mind, you'll talk to my wife this way. If you feel comfortable enough to sit in presence of your wife and talk to another woman this way, you would talk to your wife this way, you would talk to my wife this way. I have to take into account all of that.
And that's why I think their focus was not dual. It was not dual. Their focus was strictly on Brandon. That's why Anthony kind of, I don't want to say got a pass, but he kind of slipped by with that. He shouldn't have. They should have been able to go and be like, Anthony, hush, we need to be focused on keeping Brandon, in check. But again, sometimes when you're in a group setting at a table and things are going, you focus on one side and you miss a major piece. And it could be that they're selfish. Chelsea technically ain't a member of the cast at that point. It could be selfishness, like, I'm going to make sure that the cast members, either way, they should have checked it. And either way, if you see somebody's got Brandon, then I'm going to move over here and check Anthony. So they just, they don't have a good peripheral view of the situation and gather everybody who needs to be gathered.
Go ahead, Sean.
I guess I'm biased in this. But I don't think Brandon needed to say anything to Chelsea.
I was about to say that too.
I don't think she said anything that bad, to be honest. I get it that, Colby didn't like being referred to as a stooge, but in the moment, if you look at how the argument, it's a different argument than what happened with Anthony and Chelsea. Chelsea was talking to LaToya. Colby kept piping in and inserting herself and going at Chelsea. Chelsea said, I'm not talking to you. She told her like once or maybe twice, maybe three times. And she still insisted on being a part of the conversation while I'm here. And then that's when she said, well, listen, I didn't know I was dealing with two stooges. I didn't know you two had the same voice. If I'm talking to you, why do I now have to talk to the other girl that was with her, Christina's, I think, niece or family member? She didn't pipe in the conversation. She just sat back there. So it's like, if I'm talking to one person, let one person respond, especially if we're having a disagreement. So Colby got called a stooge. What do you want Brandon to do? I think it was best for him not to get involved unless it started to get escalated and somebody's jumping in somebody's face. Then it's like, hey, ladies, let's separate this. But at that end of the day, it's like, and then Colby decided to leave.
Yeah.
Which was the best thing for her to do.
And as Chelsea did try to get closer, Brandon tried to step in between them. So, I mean, it didn't get to a physical altercation, like you said, Sean. That was going to be my next thing, too, you're only saying something, Russell, because your wife is pregnant? You only feel some type of way? Because this is two women. It's not a man that came at Colby. It was a woman that came at Colby. So had she not been pregnant, would this be the same issue? We're only bringing this up because of the issue that she's pregnant. Like the same thing she says, you can't call a pregnant woman out her name. Like, well, a pregnant woman shouldn't be jumping in business where her name should be called out. Now, if it was an unwanted calling out, that's a whole different thing. If you were just walking down the street minding your business and Chelsea goes, be this, to you, that's a whole different thing. But when you're inserting yourself into a thing and a person is constantly telling you, please, I'm not talking to you right now. In the words of Bravo, stooge was the least thing that she could have called you. Okay. Like, let's be honest. She probably wanted to call you more things at that time, but she didn't. So I just don't, my whole thing is like, Russell, why are you jumping in it when the men agreed to stay out of women's business? They agreed before he had this because he asked them at the men's table that, hey, I'm gonna invite y'all wives to this thing. So this agreement was made that we're gonna stay out the women's stuff prior to it. So he's sticking to the agreement. Brandon's technically sticking to the agreement. Long as y'all wives is not getting physical with one another, I have nothing to do with it. You're now upset with me because your wife inserted herself into some stuff and got called a stooge. Sir, please go sit down. Go sit down, because what you want me to do? Because at the end of the day, like Brandon said, y'all two wives was jumping on her. The girl felt outnumbered, and don't let me hold you. She didn't need my backup, to be honest with you. He says this all the time. She could handle herself. She didn't need my backup. She handled both of y'all wives great, because now here we are. Both of y'all wives is upset because they were called a stooge. Brandon need to stay out of it like he did.
That's when Bravo could have come in. Stooge, they could have called her anything else. That's not the worst thing she could have been called.
She could have been called a pregnant stooge now. You know, so I just, that's what I'm saying. Russell's timing for piping up sometimes, I just be like confused about it. You know, there's a time and place for everything, but I just feel like you could have just stayed silent. Let these two men work it out and stop trying to sit here and act like somebody was jumping on Kobe. Kobe was trying to jump herself into a situation she had no business being in. And sir, you need to go check your wife, because you need to be like, child, you were pregnant with child, and I understand that you don't want to have a girl, but you're not about to lose this baby because you want to be out here tussling in the streets with women that have no children. Okay, please go sit down. I don't know if Chelsea don't have no children or not, but it's given that she don't have no children yet. So I don't know.
They said that at the at Christina's table, and they, you know, she said that's not what this is about. They did address that, you know, Chelsea didn't have any kids.
Yeah, and I didn't understand that from Kobe either. Going back to that, just because a person don't have no kids, they don't understand. Ma'am.
Would she tell her auntie the same thing?
Heck no, she wouldn't dare.
Not El Cid holding Kobe accountable. I love it. Oh my God.
He loved that shot.
I'm glad I showed up today, boy.
This is only the second time, Sean. This is only the second time this season.
You know, she a cousin to the Russell and Kobe. You know, she a cousin to her, so she gonna defend them at all costs. You see how she coming at me about Russell piping up like.
She had to take a break to get herself. She's like, okay, what am I gonna say? Because I'm having a tough time even defend him. Let me go off camera for a second.
Let me gather my notes.
I need a reset. I'm even struggling with defending him.
I need to eat something because I was hungry.
We'll blame it on the hanger. You are hangry.
See, this is why I'm checking Kobe. I'm not me when I'm hungry.
Yeah, so I don't know, but we finished this episode with Brandon coming back home, dropping his clean clothes on the floor. Why is this man walking around like the bags and suitcases and things don't exist? Why are we being so dramatic for this TV show? If you want to be dramatic, please pack you a bag. I know you got some overnight bags. I know you done took a vacation somewhere before. You got some travel stuff or whatever. I don't care if you got a Ralph's, Kroger's, Piggly Wiggly shopping bag somewhere. Please put these goddamn clothes in a bag, a pillowcase, something, and bring them home. Would you start with the stuff? Didn't she bring the clothes to his mama's house like that too? I was like, so is he not allowed to pack a bag?
She don't want him comfortable at all. You come in with what you can carry, because this is very short term. Because if you act out, I want you to be able to take it in your hand and go right back out.
Mama's still at the house doing the rest of the laundry.
Exactly. It's like, don't bring too much.
This is a trial basis. You only here for a week, baby.
But I'm glad she called him out on it, because when I saw him with the bag, the pile of clothes, and then he just dropped it on the floor. She was like, "Are you gonna pick that up?" He said, "Yeah, I'm gonna get to it." Come
Right.
on, Brandon, grow up. He's such a man child to me. He's such a little kid.
Like, you came home from war. Kids! Like, what? You've been over there every day since Thanksgiving, sir. Not cut the crap. Cut the crap. Okay. We don't have to make this big old scene to get back in the house. But go ahead, Elsie.
He barely in the door and you're already messing with the floor of the house. You're barely in the door and just drop clean clothes on the floor. Clean. No laundry basket. No, not even a garbage bag. He got to let you see he's coming in with all that and just drop it. No. Christina waited long enough. I've been like, kids, wait. Daddy got to pick that up before y'all hug him. We can wait. Because what you're not going to do is just throw this all over the floor. Clean clothes. Oh, that's a pet peeve of mine. Clean clothes. There's a basket for it.
With the amount of clothes he had, he could have hugged them girls with the clothes still in his hand. That man just walked out the back door with them clothes and came back around the front. He was there last night. Would y'all stop playing for these goddamn cameras? He ain't never left that house. I don't know why y'all playing. Because clearly, if he ain't pack a bag, he ain't got a toothbrush. This man got hair. He ain't got a brush, but he been wearing the man bun ponytails every week. No comb, no wash rag, 2 t-shirts and no pants. Okay, I didn't see a pair of pants in that. That fell real light to the floor. I'm about to drop some jeans right now.
Either. No underwear.
No underwear. Sir, where are you washing your balls?
He's commando.
Don't tell me mama got don't tell me that they got those co-parenting rules where whatever I bought at this house stays at this house. So everything that mama bought at that house stays at that house. Oh, go ahead, Sean.
You made me remember a memory of when I would split weekends between my mom and dad's place. And she was like, "No, we wash our laundry in Ivory." And I was like, I remember one time my dad was teaching me how to do laundry, my dad and his girlfriend, and she was like, "Oh no." She's like, she sent me with a little, Tupperware with Ivory Snow, because my mother was like, "No, your skin is delicate and this and that. Ivory Snow and Era." She's like, "I don't know what they use over there." She's like, "But if you're gonna be washing your clothes, this is what you put on your clothes, okay? You could do with what you want to do with the clothes that's from over there, but the clothes I bought, it's Ivory Snow."
Not we learning that Sean had a soft life from early.
You thought I got this way overnight? No, listen, this is you can blame Mama Davis for this.
I'll pack a laundry bag with everything in it. Like, here you go, baby. Child. I don't know. Well, what y'all thought about this scene with him and the girls? And we know it's going to kind of cliffhanger off, but do y'all think they needed to make a grand announcement that he is back in the home? I've never been married before to have to kick anybody out of the home, nor with small children. So I don't know if this is a thing that you do when you bring somebody back into the house. I can't recall my daddy being kicked out or my mom being kicked out, and I got to have a whole sit down with them. Talk about, hey, your daddy's returning or your mama returning to the house or whatnot. I don't even remember them being kicked out, but that's a whole nother story. They probably was, and they be like, we was on vacation. I don't even know. But your daddy, we seen him pack a bag. He must have went on a trip. I don't know. I don't know. But
I've never had that experience either, in that, once you're gone, you stay gone. There's no return policy. There's no receipt would help you in a return. No, there's no restocking fee. No, it's not happening. You leave, you stay gone. So make the wise decision of, if you say the word divorce, that is a bell that you cannot unring. with me at least. At least Christina is, very sympathetic. She does wish to stay within her marriage. And yeah, you have to talk to the kids. Let them know the dynamic has changed because, the kids had something to say. Daddy been bad. Daddy ain't treating mommy right. So you need to have the conversation, say daddy is back. Daddy is, returning to be the head of the household from within. So you got to have that conversation and still let daddy know to pick up that clean laundry off the floor.
I liked it. First of all, their daughters are so freaking adorable. Oh my God. I loved it. And I think it's just a new era of gentle parenting that happens. And I think it's, kind of like where folks are evolving towards, where they're a lot more communicative with the kids, and allowing them to have a voice and acknowledging the things that kids see. So this is the thing that I like, because my parents did a fair amount of communicating with me too, which I appreciate, but there was still that boundary. And I think parents are starting to acknowledge that kids see things and then they formulate their own opinions. And I know you're going to love this next word. And they center themselves. Everything centers around themselves. And sometimes it's not about them, but because no one tells them, they center themselves in it. So I like that the parents are talking about the things that are obviously happening around the kids' lives, and they know they're seeing it and it's impacting their lives, and they're just talking to them about it. So I did like
it. That little bitty one, she looked just like Brandon. She looked just like Brandon. When they really did a close up on her face when she got to really speak, I was like, "Ooh, that's Brandon's twin right there, baby." Okay, she is so adorable. I know their name is Britt and Bailey or something like this or whatnot. I don't know who is who. Neither here nor there because it's not about the kids. But I do agree with you, Sean. I do like the open door communication policy that they are in play with. And it goes both ways. You not only get to know what your child is thinking and going through, but it also put in perspective that I might be a little selfish in some of my things that I don't realize how I'm affecting my child in such a way. So I think it's a good thing that that they do have this open communication system with their children, and they're keeping them in the loop of the dynamics of the home, because this is not a secret change. Daddy being physically gone or mommy being physically gone is not a secret change that you could just hide away or whatever. It does affect them when their dynamic was both parents was always in the house. It's like where us in our era where we sit there and say we'll have those conversations. Some of us might have the conversations of witnessing our parents argue, where other ones might say, I never heard my parents argue. And you know how that affects us both ways. Sometimes when we never see our parents argue and we don't get an explanation of it, we perceive the world as being a fairy tale sometimes, and that these things don't occur. And when they do occur, we process it and shut down in a certain way. And then on the other hand, when we see it and we don't get an explanation still of why it's happening, we think it's normal. And so we go into our relationships doing the same behaviors. So to sit down with your children and treat them like the adults that they're eventually going to be, I think sometimes is a good thing. Now, do we overshare in certain areas? No, there's certain areas that we do spoon feed them. At certain times, we give them a little more and more as they get a little bit older and their understanding and processing gets better. But early off, when we have such a big dynamic change, I think it's good to bring in, hey, how does it affect you? And we're going to see next week as it continues how it affected the kids, and possibly how the kids being affected by it affects the parents. So hopefully that will get Brandon in line, as far as, I don't know if he still has infidelity on it or any of that right now currently, because I don't remember what was the cause of this last breakup. I forgot.
it was. He said he didn't want to be there. I don't think they pinned they didn't like pin a like this happened, but it was they were having disconnects, and he was the one that kept, I think this is what it was. He kept saying divorce. And finally, I think Christina said, listen, if you're going to keep saying this divorce thing, then you need to just get out. You know, we need some time apart because you're not just going to keep threatening me with divorce.
And remember, he had the female artist that she knew nothing about. And, you know, all of that, you know, working late, not answering her calls, all of that, just not being home. Yeah.
So it'll help put that you can no longer be selfish, but you're still making selfish decisions. So that might help him put that all in perspective of, you know, what you do, your choices actually affect your whole family at the end of the day. So you're going to have to stop being so selfish and start putting your family first, you know, as far as especially your kids. And we're going to have to start making decisions for the greater good of all the children. Now we do know, and Christina said it earlier in her solo with her brother at Star Factory, is that she grew up in a household with both her parents. She's conditioned to continue to fight for a marriage, where Brandon has a parent that decided to abandon the family and jump ship or whatever. And so he's more conditioned to just run. That is something that I think they both need to work out through counseling with people, of coming to a middle ground of finding that balance of understanding on how both think on a different level based off of their own separate childhoods. You know, I think that would be really helpful for them to come along and understand, hey, I come from a childhood that we fought for things and marriage was a serious thing. And I understand you come from a childhood that divorce was always an option. How do we find a place where we both are in this and have this understanding and agreement that going forth, this is what our thing is? You know, you have to kind of make that for yourself or whatnot. And I can't really say it's good or bad. I have a strong opinion on being divorced, but however, I know in the Bible there's reasons for it. So I cannot make that call or that judgment. And, you know, that's between you and God and your morals on how you feel about it. So sometimes we have to have that conversation on if this gets to an extreme point, and like Elsa said, you say divorce one more time, that's it. You're going to just stay out. You're just going to stay outside. You can't come back in. Or am I going to be the only one fighting in this relationship? Because that's where I come from. And I don't like fighting alone, because fighting alone makes me feel some type of way. You know, these are conversations that when we revisit relationships, you have to have, you know. And I remember telling my cousin when she got engaged is that there's this thing that most of us are in relationships that we're fighting for, but we're not fighting with the person to be in the relationship. If that, you know, if I'm saying it correctly, is that a lot of times you want to be with a person that is willing to fight with you for the same goal. You both are fighting against the world to stay in this relationship. You're both fighting against whatever to make this relationship work. But a lot of times it's only a one-sided fight that we find ourselves in. And so if we're ever in that position with somebody, we need to figure out where we stand with that person. Are you fighting with me? Are you fighting alone? Are you fighting against me? What are you fighting for? And if we're both fighting for the same cause, good. We both have the same objective, so this can work out. So it's like, Brandon, what are you fighting for? Christina, what are you fighting for? Are you fighting just to stay in a marriage just for the sake that you seen your parents stay in a marriage? Or do you love this man? Or you want a whole family? Like, what are you fighting for at the end of the day? So, I don't know. Any other thoughts? Not Jesus saves, I don't.
I don't. That ain't in my color wheel. I think you made a great point. The fact that Brandon did say the word divorce is because he has, you know, parents who did seek divorce. But Brandon shouldn't even bring it up technically, because he saw what it did to their household, you know, his parents divorcing. So yeah, he sees it as an option, but I don't think he's thinking it through. And he could also be using it as a form of hurting her, because he knows that she wouldn't contemplate it at all unless it's really, really, you know, they're in a bad spot. So I agree with you. It's because of their perspective of how they grew up, coming from a two-parent household versus, you know, a divorced parent household. You know, it does matter, and it does paint the picture of how you navigate in your marriage.
Yeah. The other thing was these kids don't hide their feelings at all, because the one little daughter, she was so happy. You could tell she was so happy to see him when he came in, and when Christina said Daddy's coming back, they were like, "Yay!" And then it turned quick. She said, "But I'm mad at you." I think something to that effect. I was like, "Woo!" He was like, and then he just kind of straightened up. I was like, "Good, get him." She's like, "Yeah, I'm mad at you, Daddy." He was like, "You mad at me? What did I do?" But I liked his approach too. I got to be honest. It seems like he's a good father. I don't want to. I'm not there. I don't know, but I like that it hit him, and you could tell it hurt. But he did ask why, and I think that's why those kind of conversations are good, because kids are formulating their own opinions, and you'd be surprised what they think and feel and what they pick up on. And I'm glad she was comfortable enough to be honest with her father, because that is very important. And listen, not only does he have to repair with Christina, he has to repair with his daughters, because they see things and he hurt them too with his actions. So I did like that, but that hurt me too. I was like, "Oh, she got him."
Yeah, that's not a good feeling when your child tell you you the bad guy in their story. Like, ooh, especially when you got a strong love for your child. Now, if you ain't really care, you be like, eh. But when you love your child, that hit hard. You know what I'm saying? And it's funny, it's vice versa, because you can whip your child, you can punish them, all that stuff. But if you ever tell your child you disappointed me, I mean, you could almost see their soul just fall out of their body right then in that moment, because that their whole thing is to make you feel some type of way. They make you proud or whatever. So when you feel any less than, they feel that too. So it works both ways, where it's just like, as a parent, to find out that you let your child down some type of way, and that was never your intent. That's a hurtful thing. So that's why I say I hope Brandon really listens. He might not listen to Christina that much, but I hope he hears his girls, because you are impacting their lives as well. And you're shaping how they will view men in the future. You're their very first love. You have to remember that you are their very first love. So you want to show them how men should show up in their life. You don't want to show them that it is okay to be a runner whenever times get hard. And Christina, on the other hand, you don't want to show them that you have to be you continue to fight for somebody that doesn't want to be there. There has to be some type of balance in there. And it's a beautiful thing that you both are kind of both on opposite spectrums, because that provides a balance, but you got to both work together to give them that. So I don't know. I do feel like they need their counseling, their individual counseling, and some family counseling going down. It'd be great to get the girls in it early too. So
Christina said, with counselors who don't cheat on their wives.
Well, those are kind of starting to get harder to come by. Because if you want one that's married, you know what? But you know what? You might need that counselor though. You'll say you want a counselor that don't cheat on their wives, but you get some of your best counseling comes from a person who's been there, because they know that experience. They know what it feels like. Guess Kobe got the best counseling out of everybody from a person who also went through losing children and not being able to have it. She didn't say, I want counseling from a person that has children, because everybody that had children said, hey, you just want a healthy baby. You'll be fine. Get over it. She didn't want to hear none of that. But to hear somebody that tells you, I went through the experience, but I lost. That gives you a different experience. That gives you a different effect in your heart. You know what I'm saying? That might hit you a little bit better. So Christina, don't cut off your blessings. That one that had suffered through infidelity, he might be able to teach y'all how to work through it. And if he counsels with his partner, or she counsels with her partner, they might be able to teach you how to get past those hard days, to get around those triggers and work through it and stuff. So yeah, I don't know. Don't count your blessings on that one. Any other thoughts before we get up out of here? I don't know. Hopefully they be back next week. They took a week off for us, and they didn't. I have to watch it on the app.
I think that's it. I think that was the mid-season finale.
Mid-season finale. Okay, because I'm on the app, so I don't get all the extras.
Oh yeah, so they I think they're taking a break until I don't know if it's November when they're gonna pick back up. I'm not sure when they're gonna pick back up, but
I kind of hate
that
when
was
they
the
do that.
mid-season finale.
I kind of hate when they do that.
Yeah, because it was so quick. It was like 6 episodes. I'm like,
yeah. I mean, I get when, because I know the housewives usually take a week break, and usually it falls on a weekend because of Super Bowl or some crap like that. So I understand that. But I Carlos King breaks be like, we go on break, and then a year later we want to come back and pick up where we like, sir, we no longer invested. The baby is 2 years old. We don't care. Like, what is we doing right now? Who is this kid? Whose kid is this? Right. So I don't know. All right. Well, I know Love and Marriage Huntsville is coming back, but I don't fell off a couple of seasons ago, so I have no clue what's going on.
they're coming back in November.
Oh, they're coming back in. Oh shoot! Well, why the hell is we taking a mid-season break and we ain't? Carlos can't get it together. Okay, get it together, sir. You be wanting to support Black business, but Black business always want to do some crap like this. You know what I'm saying? And be back in 30 minutes. Well, what 30 minutes did you leave on? Yes, they do kill the momentum with these breaks. I don't know. Thank you, Ready to Love, if y'all ever come back, for not killing us with breaks. But now y'all killing us with this long forever break that y'all got now. I don't know.
I think it went down in Philly, boy. That's what I think. And they are struggling through the edits.
Either that or some lawsuits.
Because Philly ain't no place to play with, let me tell you. So
Philly don't play. Philly don't play.
Get to play in their antics in Philly.
They not like us.
If you thought Janelle in Texas showing up at old girl's, job or her apartment building was something, Philly would knock that out the water.
There would be no heads up. There would be no heads up. There would be. What'd you say? Oh, all right. I got you. You should be right at the door.
Look out your window. Come on out.
What'd you say? Camera.
Yes. That's it. It'd be bad girls up in there.
Screen the black. Screen the black.
Philly would slap the camera, then slap you.
Wait, how Alexis left out of the reunion last year, and get these damn cameras out my F your equipment. Sue me.
So I can't talk about Philly. I'm going to Philly next month, so
I'll be there next year. Peace out to y'all. The times. Anywho, well, it has been a pleasure. Thank you, Sean. Thank you, Elsie, for joining me today and talking about these episodes. We had a great time. We had a good kiki. Thank you to Auntie Cheryl and Auntie Kayla for bringing us here in this moment, okay? Because who knew we would kind of like Anthony a little bit, or at least understand him. I don't know if I like him too much, but at least I understand him a little bit, He always been petty, so I can't. It's a way to handle petty people like this, okay? For a person who has always been petty, you gotta be petty back with them. To be honest, that's the only real way you. Okay, Sean, I know it's not the only real way, but
you don't want nobody being petty with you.
That's no, I like it. I get to it. Now it depends on what type of petty you are. Don't be a spiteful petty, because that's the petty you don't want from me. Now, if you're a fun petty, huh? I'm saying if you're fun petty, you a little shade petty, I'll go with it. I'll let it ride. We can have a good time. But that petty of not apologizing and all that type of petty right there, that's the kind that Anthony would not want to play with me with. Okay. Oh, so we going there? Cool. I got a lot.
Anthony like Nene, I said what I said.
And I'll be like Candy Burris. And what you said was some bullshit. Yeah, I'm a Candy Burris on you. You know what I'm saying? We could be cool, but when I turns up, I turns all the way up, okay? Because you know that little 5'6" then turned into a whole 6'5" on Nene real quick, okay?
What did she say one time? Shut your mouth when you talking to me. I was like, what? I've never heard that before.
You know, that's some old grandma stuff too right there. Shut your mouth when you talk. Yes, ma'am. I want the Kenya Moore petty. You know what? I want the do you know the petty I like right now? The current petty I like. Stacy is kind of petty off of Potomac. Stacy kind of petty, but she good. She good with the petty reads. I like her right now. She coming in, okay, with the bunion. So I don't know. We're gonna have to work on Anthony's petty. We got to work on it, okay? Because you cannot be having men's movement and not inviting men to the movement. You cannot be having men's movement but want to call women out their names. Those are not the times to be petty. When your business and your name and your legacy is involved, you should not be petty. You should not be petty at that moments, okay? But to each his own. Final words, Elsie?
Final word is communicate and listen to your auntie.
Your aunties and uncles have spoken, okay? Auntie Elsie, Uncle Sean, Auntie Jay has told y'all for the day. All right, y'all go ahead, get y'all stuff, and do what you got to do. Make sure y'all follow Auntie Elsie on LCID932 on YouTube. Okay, you follow Uncle Sean Davis, and you get all his loafer activities. Sean Davis 120. Okay, if you want to stay fly, Sean is your fly uncle. Sean is the fly uncle that show up to the barbecue. You know what I'm saying? He got a new chick on his arm almost every time. You know what I'm saying? That's Sean is the rich uncle, the rich fly uncle. Okay. You know, me and Elsie, we the aunties that be playing spades and talking ish in the back. Sean, come over here.
I don't know how to play spades.
So. Oh, okay. Well, Well,
I'm being the kitchen.
Me and Sean come play fly. He come play fly spades. He be like, bah. He don't get that.
I'm gonna make sure the table is replenished of all the food, all the drinks. I'm gonna make sure stuff flowing.
Okay, she the auntie with the snacks. Y'all got an auntie the snacks. All right. Me and Sean over there in the back grooving while he playing the spades. He like two-stepping with the spades. Boston on you. Talking all the mess. And I'm the auntie that come. Y'all want it real and raw. Come to me, okay? I'm the auntie that's gonna keep it real and raw. You might not like half of the stuff I say, but it's for your best interest, baby. I love you, okay? I love you all. Happy Sunday to y'all. Y'all have a great day. We'll talk to y'all next week. Tuesday, I'll talk to you in the background, Sean. We'll figure it out for the housewives, the house heifers of Potomac, okay? Until then, y'all be good, all right? Love y'all. Bye.
T-shirt, you done left fingerprints and all. You are so dumb. You are really dumb. For real.